Mistake number one was not paying for advertising. Remember was anybody here this morning when I told you it took 7 years? And then my man Joseph added it up and showed us that 92% of that came in the last 3 years, which means we could have more than shortened that time. Part of that was not paying for advertising. I want to give y'all something. I went in and dug something up I never showed before, but I think this will finally get the light bulb. This right here is a company called Nike out of Oregon. Anybody heard of Nike? Right? So Nike, when you look at their market share and what they do, right, $29.1 billion is what they made in 2022. Now, Nike was bigger than the next 5 shoe companies. But here's the trick. Y'all know what the trick is? They really were bigger than all 6 because that 5th one, Converse, Nike owns Converse too. So, I got a question for you. Does Nike advertise? Yes or no? Yes. Of course they do. This right here is a company called McDonald's. Anybody heard of McDonald's? Somebody like, I just had some about 15 minutes ago. It's still in my artery right now. Yeah. So McDonald's. No shaming, y'all, no shaming. The vegans, they in here like celebrating, like got them. Look, they sell it, it's made it worth their trip. All right, so McDonald's, right? McDonald's known all around the world. Question for you. Does McDonald's advertise? Of course they do, right? In the newspaper, on the billboards, digitally, online, TV, television, everything. This right here, a company called Amazon, right? They're based out of Seattle. Anybody ever heard of Amazon? Does Amazon advertise? Amazon advertises so much, Ronnie, that they made their own make-believe day. Prime Day. I was in Charlotte talking about this. Somebody said, no, that day is real. That day is real, Lamar. They made up people were like, Valentine's Day ain't real. No, this ain't real. They made up a make-believe holiday just for you to buy stuff. And not only do you buy, look, somebody's like, is that the date for this year already? Somebody wrote down the dates, Tanisha. That's 2022, you're gonna miss it. You're gonna miss it being greedy. But look, they advertise so much, they made up a fake holiday. And on that fake holiday, y'all be dying looking for something to buy on there. Looking for the deal. Now, here's the thing, right? The question I got for you. If Nike advertises, if McDonald's advertises, if Amazon advertises, and people all around the world know all of those brands, why don't you when nobody knows your brand?
Lamar.
I told him, right, like we do just exactly what the opposite was, and guess what? We did that. That was one of our mistakes. We went years. We had organic traffic. Organic traffic is the holy grail. We don't have to pay for people. They come to us. Remember that, Ronnie?
Yes.
But guess what? It was 1 year where I was like, Ronnie, you know what? I just like got this like light bulb moment. And I was like, we should advertise. And I said, let's just, try $1,000. We're gonna send $1,000 this month and let's try it for the next 3 months. Let's just kind of see what happened, right? And Ronnie said yes, right?
Yes.
You make it look like I'm lying because you're not participating. But Ronnie said yes, I promise, right? And then we ran it, and then we had a light bulb moment. This is the impact of advertising. Y'all want to see real life impact?
Yeah.
This right here is what we were selling at the time. This is our Black Family Film Pack. 4 films every black family should own. Anybody got any of these movies in here? Right, listen, appreciate y'all. So we had Happily Ever After, our first film, A Positive Image of Black Marriage, You Save Me, Men Ain't Boys, and Still Standing, right? I'm telling y'all, Still Standing, one of the best black love movies of all time. Know this, Love Jones, Love Basketball, Still Standing.
No,
3.
Love and Basketball, then Love Jones.
Oh no, I wasn't ranking them in order, because if I rank them in order,
Still Standing first.
Yeah,
then Love and
Let's
Basketball.
get straight. What I'm not gonna do is rank neither one of them over mine.
Yeah.
All right, so the Black Family Film Pack. So when we sold it, right, the very first year we started selling it as a 4-pack bundle, we sold $7,000 of it. 133 of them total. We averaged 11 per month. How many per month?
11.
11, right? Then the next year, 2013, this is organic growth. We went from 133 to how many? 724. We went from 11 a month to selling 60 a month. We went from $7,000 to $25,000. Is that good?
Yeah.
Yes, right? We're growing.
Yes.
People are buying from us, right? This is growth. Do you remember those days?
Yes. It
We
felt
was
good.
excited, right?
Yeah.
When I was in, is Alvion in here? when I was in Dallas, right, Alviana, when I met, I remember said, Lamar, I got something to show you. Alviana came out and brought out our Happily Ever After, positive image of black marriage, said, hey, Lamar, I want you to sign this DVD. And I ain't seen one like we used to do that back in the day, but I ain't seen somebody bring one of those in a minute. And when I opened it up, I told her instantly, I said, that's one of the DVDs me and Ronnie packed and shipped. And I said, I could tell by the receipt. Because the receipts those days was 4 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper that we would put in our home printer and print out. Gwen, you know what I'm talking about? You had the days, right? You been there? So, you know, we ain't had no heat printer, no thermal printer, nothing like that. We had like a HP printer. And whenever we do a sale, we had to buy about $300 worth of those little ink toners and eat up all our profits. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Anybody be printing and shipping in here?
Yeah, she probably had a little grease on it because I printed it in the kitchen and everything like that. Thank you.
So I could tell because I had that piece of paper folded. I said, this is one of ours. But we had those, right? So that's organic growth. We said that is great, right? Mm-hmm. Then, you know what happened? We started running advertising. This is the impact of advertising. We went from 724 to selling 3,634 the next year. We went from 60 a month to 302 a month. We went from 25,000 to 208,000 in that one product. We had other products we sold, but that one product became the marquee product. Because in the mastermind, we call it putting what on it? Gasoline. So you can have something that's doing great. You can have something that's doing good, but then you can advertise it and make it outstanding. And I'll never forget, Ronnie, like at the time, you know, we were doing like, 3 or 4 a week. Then we were doing, 10 a week, like, oh, we doing it. When we started running ads, sometimes we was doing 20, 24 a day.
Yeah, that felt good.
Anybody more interested in advertising now?
Mistake number 2 is not learning how to sell. There are a few things I want to tell you about this one. The first thing is I hear entrepreneurs all the time saying, I don't like to sell. Selling is not me. And to be honest, that's just not an option for you as an entrepreneur. That is just not an option. So you have to learn how to sell. You have to get good at it. Which is why we teach our entrepreneurs at TSP and in the mastermind how to sell. You have to get a coach. You have to learn how to sell. You have to get a script, and you have to follow that script. The next thing that I hear from people is that, it's not even that I hear, I see this. So we're teaching you how to sell, and now you're going to tell us how you're going to do it. So when you get the script, follow the script from the people that know how to sell, right? Don't switch it. Well, I'm not comfortable with that. That sounds kind of salesy, so I'm just going to shorten the pitch. Or I'm just going to, whatever, so that you put your own little flavor on it, but your own flavor doesn't work, right? My flavor works, yours doesn't, right? You know how I know? Because you bought from me. You're my client. So just learn from what we're teaching you, right? But no, they'll sit there and they'll tell the coach, well, I'm not comfortable with that. Should I send, I'm telling you, send 5 emails. No, I'll send 1. Does that sound familiar to anybody? So, so it's not about you, it's about what works. And so I feel like that's a big mistake. Not only are you're shying away from sales, which is the lifeline of your business, but then when we tell you how to sell, you're going to tell us what to do. So, so that is a big, big mistake.
And the thing that's interesting is that you talked about comfort.
Right.
A lot of times for you to grow, you're going to have to get out of those comfortable spaces.
Right.
Right? And I know a lot of people say, well, I'm not comfortable selling. Either you're going to be comfortable selling, you're going to be comfortable being broke. You get to choose which one.
Right.
All right, so the first time, right, to do this, right, like these things we did. So we fumbled around, not knowing how to sell stuff, not being able to make an offer. I always say if you're not selling, you're not serving. Because every capacity y'all want to serve in, you got to be able to sell that person on the idea, concept of it. Right, we had a training with the team at work, and I was telling them a couple weeks ago, I was like, hey, for you to work here, I had to sell you on the idea that we were the best place for you to actually take employment with. For y'all to come to this conference, we had to sell you on the idea that you would get answers and solutions for your business. Everywhere, right? Yeah. So we need to sell. So the first thing we did, here's the story in this. We went down to an event in Tampa. I think somebody invited me to it. So I went down to an event in Tampa, right, about selling. It's about actually like a sales event. Now, in that event, they made an offer for us. It's called a high-ticket offer. And they said, you can come to our office, right? You can spend one day. And it was it 12 or 13?
It was about 12K, 13K.
Yeah,
Between
12,
and
12, let's say $12,000. Now, at the time, we had never spent any type of money on that. Well, actually, I don't think we had spent no type of money on nothing.
No, we hadn't.
Actually, let me dial it back. I may have spent $12 on a book, but I never spent like a coach, consultant, nothing, right? We spent $12K. And the thing was, when we went in, they had to teach us and train us a methodology and a framework around how to actually sell. Y'all want to see it?
Yes.
All right, check it out. Here it goes.
Are we on a webinar, or you guys are in front of a live room? What are you going to do? Will you do a webinar?
We're prepared to do this as a webinar.
Webinar? Okay.
Let me ask you, would you like for me to show you how to get the results you wanted in the marriage, in your marriage and love?
You have to scroll down.
Okay, yeah. Okay. We're going to show you, is this the same thing?
No, go to the next chart. It's the same.
No, the text is the same thing.
Oh, okay. So it's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. So you're about to discover 3 ways to transform.
So what we promise you is that by the end of this presentation, you'll have the steps that you need to transform your marriage. We see a lot of couples that can't do anything without arguing. It's like, what do you want for breakfast? And that turns into a huge argument. Can people understand that? Has anybody, gone through that?
Some specific things that we had to do in order to transform our marriage. There are some specific things that we had to do in order to transform our marriage. Did we talk about the 3 things right here?
No, this ain't. This is just
transform.
our relation. How did we come out of, what did we do to come out of this, right?
Yep.
Do we go into
Or you need to say, we created 5 simple steps that we used to be able to come out of this.
I gotta tell you, I love you guys. You guys are awesome. I love you guys.
He's still standing. Dr. Johnny Parker, he has one of our greatest, one of my favorite quotes, and he says that, what does he say? Say it again, say it.
Okay.
It's delivered online and something.
So, what's included? So I kind of go into that?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
here's what you get.
So here's what you get in the trans. So I have a question for you. Will you be our next success by a show of hands? All right. Some of y'all was laughing too hard. It wasn't that funny. So, we had to go learn the process. Everybody say process.
Yeah.
And before the process, we was fumbling along in the dark, trying to do things on our own and figure things on our own when it did not matter. Because we invested in the program, we got the results we needed, and immediately we went and executed and implemented. Now, investing in the program ain't the key if you don't execute and implement. Right? You got to close the loop. And when we did that, revenue shot up. So when we showed you 2014 earlier, right, and it was like our first 500K year, right, half of that was advertising. Another big chunk of it was now we had a system to sell, and we started doing webinars every week or bi-weekly. And the beauty of that was we had booms in CPR. CPR, we call it consistent, predictable revenue. The bad part about that was the seminar I went to that I signed up for that high-ticket program I made the money with, I went to the year before. They made the same offer the year before. I didn't sign up the year before. So again, when I say it took us 7 years, another reason, even in the 7-year span, it really should have only took us 6. But I couldn't make a decision when it was time to make a decision and move forward to do what I decided to do anyway. And I made every excuse in the world why not. The first year I went alone, and I didn't even call Ronnie to even see what she thought about it. I just talked myself out in my head. I don't know if this is real. I don't know what this is about. Anybody ever been there before, right? I don't know if this is going to help me. These people in the room ain't like me. What Ronnie going to say if I do this? I don't even want to call her and see what she's talking about saying it. So what I did is I waited a whole nother year and took Ronnie back with me.
Yeah. So we had to fly back, get another hotel room, buy tickets, buy your ticket, buy my ticket, sit through the whole 3-day thing, and then join.
And as soon as they get to the pitch, Ronnie looking at me like, we should join. Like, dang, we could have joined last year. But y'all, like so many times, we talk ourselves out of the process.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Another thing is, like, Lamar is good about this. The man gave us the play. He ran the play. He will follow it at least the first time exactly how they told us to do it, And then you'll put your little flavor on it, eventually,
time.
right? But he's going to follow the steps and not just sit there and argue with people, about like what the sales steps should be.
Ronnie,
So, yeah.
every time we invest in anything, I'm walking through it. Even if it's like, yeah, this don't look too good. I don't think this gonna work, right? I could be like, I don't see how this gonna pan out, but I'll never know if I don't actually follow what? The process.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go through the process every single time the way they tell me to do it, and then once I get through the process, then I'm gonna make evaluation off of things I can tweak and levers I can pull.
Right.
All right, I think we got time for one more. Y'all want one more? All right, right? Mistake number 3, not looking at the data. Now, the first physical product we ever sold was documentary films. We talked about that a second ago. And the problem was we didn't have the data, and we didn't even have a place to keep the data. We originally were selling documentaries. We go on events and doing screenings. We were doing the screenings on Eventbrite. People was putting their emails in there. I wasn't even downloading the emails. So we would do a screening in Atlanta, right? We was living in the D.C. area. We come down to Atlanta, do a screening. Then the next year, we did a movie every year for 5 years straight. Took a break, then did 2 more. The next year, year 2, I would come down, and I'd be around, and somebody would stop me and be like, hey, Lamar, right? You and Ronnie, it was amazing. It was great. I can't wait for y'all to drop another movie. And we said, we just did. Then they would say, well, oh, my God, like, let me know when the screening is when you come back to Atlanta, right? Midtown Art Cinema, I'm going to be there. And we said, we was there 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And we realized that we had clients that we couldn't even communicate with because we didn't have a system to do it in. We didn't have a process. We weren't tracking who was buying, what they were buying, who was buying what, and those are the easiest people to sell to again and again and again. So we had to get clarity on it, not looking at the data. So what does that look like now, right? Everything we capture now, we hold in our CRM, our system Keep, right? In a minute, we got the CEO of Keep coming out, Clayton Mass. But in that system, right, we track who the leads are, who the customers are, what they purchase, what they buy. We can segment, we can shift, we can do all type of stuff. He'll talk about all those type of things. But now we can look at the data. In data, I want to tell you to look at, there's online data, there's offline data. There's data in your system, there's data in your groups and communities. Anybody only got online community? Right? Mm-hmm. So I did this, I posted in a group the other day, right? Real life example of how we can run this stuff through. So we did our TSP Breakthrough Tour. I showed y'all earlier, remember DMV won, they was the best, y'all agreed. With the Breakthrough Tour, we went to the Facebook group. Y'all gonna need more than one tambourine. Chicago need like a legion of tambourines to beat DMV. All right, so TSP, right? We went to the Facebook group. I said, hey, we're looking to do a TSP pop-up tour for 2024 like we used to do back in the day. Are these good or are we missing someplace? What was I trying to find? Data. I want user-generated data. I wanted y'all to tell me where we should be. And what was great is that y'all validated most of these places. In most of these places, these are like a lot of our biggest markets, right? The people that show up for us the most, the people that come out. There's a few emerging markets we wanted to tap into. But what happened when I put this post up, y'all identified some other cities for me that were not on my radar. So once we did this post, I went back and told Doreen and Ronnie and the team, I said, yo, we got to get to Detroit, because there's a lot of people in the comments saying we got to get to Detroit. Mm-hmm. When we looked and saw Cali, we was like, yo, we might need to get to the Bay Area too, because they saying LA ain't enough, so we might need to get to the Bay Area. Sacramento, not yet. That question always come up. It always come out. Sacramento too. We got 2 places. You're not going, let's talk about it. All right, right? But we got good data back. Then, as we were posting, right, and I was actually running through when we were selling tickets, we were launching, as we were getting the cities lined up and getting them secured, we were launching, I was coming to the groups and how many tickets we had left, sharing about sellouts. Here's a tip, right? I told the mastermind this, we was doing it. Did anybody see when I was posting these pictures in the group? Facebook is always suppressing content, right? The algorithms, all the social media networks do it. Facebook used to let lives through. Now all the lives we do are suppressed, so we don't do as many lives as we used to do in the group because nobody get to see them. They only let y'all know they're going on. So I was looking for a way to get my content out. So I said, hey, let me do something to kind of shift what we normally post, and that would do it. So when I was doing these like, oh, I'm surprised, I was doing some of the ones pointing up, Facebook was letting those through the algorithm every time. So what I was doing is I was trying to put the least amount of sales information like in the copy. I was putting some of the images. Y'all know Facebook can read the images and all that type of stuff. But I was trying different things. But with these posts I was doing, Facebook was letting them get out and actually reach thousands of people in the group, which don't normally happen. So that's why you saw me kept posting and walking through the process with them. I put another question in the group. I said, hey, if we ever did a pop-up in Florida, because a lot of people showed up and said, hey, you need to come to Florida. Yep, there were 4 people over there that said it. So I said, hey, I came back and said, we ever did a pop-up in Florida, which city should we do? And we got 76 comments from people telling us which city, right? The Tampa people was fighting the Orlando people. The Orlando people fighting Jacksonville. Jacksonville fighting South Florida, right? Whatever. I'm like, I might not even make it to none of y'all, but we're gonna see, right? 66 comments. Then what we did is, I said, okay, that's the user-generated data. Let me look at what the real system data is. And we went into our Keep application. We downloaded all of our customers out of Florida. So I think it was around 2,600 people that we downloaded out of them, right? We took all the zip codes in a spreadsheet, copied and pasted them up to a heat map software online, right? But you can just search heat map software. And then we were able to map out where our people are in Florida. So I want to tell you, it's one thing for people to tell you something.
Right.
You need to make sure you verify what they tell you with the actual what? Data. Because y'all know people will be like, yeah, we coming. Then you get there, don't nobody be there.
Yes.
They going to hype you up to buy that stuff for them to buy it. And then you going to have all of it in your garage because they ain't going to actually, Cassandra, you ain't never been there. So the post got 76 comments. CRM data got 2,600 plus Florida customers and zip codes. Now, this first shot is just like the overall regions of Florida, right? That's not 1,000, what is that? 1,024 people in Orlando. That's 1,024 people in Central Florida, right? The 838 is not in Fort Myers. That's in, South Florida, whatever. So we zoom in one step, then we can get closer to where those zip codes actually show up. And we can see basically it's 500 between North and South Tampa. It's another 500 between North and South Orlando. It's like 643 in that Atlanta, Fort Lauderdale area, right? 227 up in the West Palm Beach. But then if we keep zooming, we can get more granular with the data. Then we can see, okay, you know what? I think that's down there by Miami. Like, okay, look at the clusters of all the people, and inside those bubbles, you might not be able to see, but it's numbers showing me how many people are in each one of those zip codes. Then if we zoom in more, we can get more granular. We zoom in more, right? I looked at the Orlando area, and we looked at Orlando. I wanted to see, is it a spot, an area in Orlando that if we do something, we should go to? And when we got deeper, I saw that, hey, you know what? Anybody from Orlando area in here?
Over there.
I said, be quiet if you want. Y'all will get marked off. Tampa been telling me not to mess with y'all no way, right? Listen, all it takes is one level.
Lamar.
Earl and Burnetta told me, leave Orlando alone. Come to Tampa, right? But on that western side, it was like 2 zip codes that's kind of on the, it's like northwest on there, right? One got 23, one got, actually 3 of them. 21 people, 23 people in the next zip code, 25 in the next one. So using the data, we could go pinpoint and drop right in the middle of those 3 zip codes and say we're doing the event there and know that we already got not leads, definitely not followers, but customers. And we can say not that we in your state, we in your daggone town, in your daggone zip code. Right. How are you using the data? When you use the data, it makes it a lot easier to do what Ronnie just talked about, to sell. To get to it, to get the sale, to get the conversion, right? To talk to people, to use their language, to reach out and touch them and let them know what it feels like.
Right.
Anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, I just agree, and I think that people need to stop making so many emotional decisions and use the data to make the decisions. People are making emotional decisions on how to price their products versus trying to look at data, maybe doing some research about how, like, the competitors are pricing it, things like that. I know people that have events and are just picking numbers out of the sky for what they should be their ticket sales. And I'm like, we could like literally sit down and look at the data and come up with what your ticket price should be. And so we just want you to make sure that you are looking at the data.
Right, and one of the important things about launching and just doing something is that once you do something, you got data.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of times we look like, hey, that wasn't a win. I didn't make money. I didn't get rich. You ain't get rich, but you got what? Data.
Yeah.
And now that we got data, we got historical data, then we can start to calculate and make decisions based on the data that we have about where we need to go moving forward.
And just to piggyback on that, I teach this when we teach about launching in the mastermind, but even before you go into your launch, you're setting up ways to collect data. So think about that before you launch. Like, what data do I need to capture so that you're setting yourself up to capture it before you go through that process. So it's intentional.
Mistake number 4 is not firing fast enough. Anybody ever not fired fast enough? Okay, y'all my people, we in the room. Now, I've learned that there are essentially 3 types of people that don't fire fast enough. Y'all wanna know what they are? The first one is the fearful firer. They scared to tell a person to get out of there, right? They like, please leave, please. They come to you, they're biz besties complaining, right? The person ain't doing what they doing, they still here, they won't go. You like, did you let them go yet? Well, no, I ain't let them go, but I just tried to make them uncomfortable.
That's me.
That's you?
Yeah.
So mistakes we made, right?
Yeah.
It's real life stuff, right? So you got to do that. The second one, right, I don't think it's going to play on the system we got. But the second one is the passive firer. Now, this right here, right, it's supposed to move, but it's not. But it's Conan, and basically he's saying, like, okay, can you just go? Right? Like a flipping, like, can you? And now here's the thing. Y'all think that if you make it uncomfortable people, they'll leave. But there are a subset of bold people.
They don't care.
That, what, Ronnie?
They don't care.
They don't care. They like, I dare you to make me leave. I dare you. To my cold, clenched hands, right? We're gonna do whatever we gotta do. And then we got what I like to call a frustrated firer.
Yeah.
That's the person that you let everything boil up inside of you, right? Everything is pent up, you're mad, you're agitated, you just like let your top blow, and then you get in situations where you're just going off like this.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah,
Why should they
don't
not
do
do
it.
it, Ronnie?
No, I mean, there are consequences to that, right? Mainly the Department of Labor. Okay. But yeah, so don't do that. But, keeping people too long is bad for morale and productivity, right? And so you may think that it's not impacting the other employees, but as soon as that person is gone, then they will come and tell you, oh my gosh, this person was doing this, or this person was doing that. Or sometimes you're letting that person stay, and behind your back, they're being toxic within your organization, right? And they're spoiling everything for everyone else. They're trying to build a case. They're trying to get other people to go out the door with them. And so we found that as well. Another thing is, sometimes we keep people that are not a skills fit, and again, that's horrible for the other employees because it puts the workload on them. And then sometimes we keep people that have the skills, but they're not a cultural fit. And that's bad for the culture within your organization. And so we want you to make sure that if the person is not right for the organization, that you're having the check-ins, you're having the performance reviews, you're having those conversations, and that you're letting them go if the data says they should not be there.
Right.
Yeah.
And anybody know, like, this is one of the hardest parts of entrepreneurship. Does anybody know that?
Oh, yeah.
And this
Most
is one of the
definitely.
things that they never really talk about with entrepreneurship. It's how you gonna make this money, you're gonna have all this time freedom, you're gonna have to fire people that don't show up and do the stuff, right? One of the best pieces of advice I heard about firing, somebody told me never hire somebody you're not willing to fire.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you're hiring people very close to you, but just know at that point in one day, if something goes left, something doesn't go right, things don't work out, they don't work out, because sometimes people intentionally don't work out for whatever reasons, right? You may have to part ways. Are you okay with that? You need to know if you're okay with that before you ever let them come on in the first place.
Right. And I think people keep people too long because they're afraid of the workload coming to you.
Anybody ever felt like that before?
But you're delaying the inevitable, and this person is also bringing stress into your life. And I've always, it just never fails. We've let someone go, we kept them for far too long, and we were afraid the workload would come back on us, which it did. It's going to, right? But it felt so much better. I knew what I had to do that day. I knew I was going to get it done. And I just made a plan to start looking for someone else. But I had that maybe sometimes negative energy, or maybe that person that wasn't doing the work and wasn't dependable. They were out of my organization, and it just felt so much better operating.
And many times, if we had toxic teams, right, toxic teams would lead back to a toxic person. And again, it was a person that we were trying everything in our power to just try to figure something out for them to get it and stay. And meanwhile, their whole plan, whether they was intentional with it or not, was trying to destroy everything around them. And here's what I found, right? A players don't like fooling around with C and D players. And you can run your A players out fooling around with C and D players. And like Ronnie said again, right? A lot of time we like, hey, it could be personality-wise, this person is great, and sometimes they just couldn't do the job. It's a million different reasons, a million different ways. But if the person ain't the right person, we got to get them out of there. Right? We went to Zappos, right, for one of our collaborative field trips. For our company's $1 million and above, in our collaborative program, we do a field trip every year. So we went to Zappos, and we learned about company culture for a day for them. They wanted the world's best. And while we were there, right, they told us about how the founder had set up a program, the concept of paying new unhappy employees $2,000 to quit in order to maintain a happy, productive workforce. And he would go through, Freddie, Chris, y'all remember this? Right? He talked about the fact, he said, everybody that comes in goes through the same onboarding process. I don't care if you work in the phones for customer support or if you're the CFO. You go through this 2-3 week program, then at the end, you got to rotate around the company. Everybody got to sit and listen to phone calls. And then when all of that is done, we offer you money not to take the job. Because if all it's about for you is money, we'd rather you get your money now and leave. I came back, man. We were sitting in the back of that room as soon as we got on the little shuttle to go back to the resort. I said, Ronnie, I love that. Can we pay people $2,000 to not take the job? What'd you say?
No.
I said no.
No.
I said, 500? Can we give them some TSP gear or something, right? Something. I said no. Then we did another collaborative field trip to Ritz-Carlton. Y'all know Ritz-Carlton? So we did Ritz-Carlton, that was last year, right? Last year in Palm Springs, California. So we went to Ritz-Carlton and they told us about their 5-star service. Ritz-Carlton is world renowned for their quality and level of service and how they empower, their teams and the people all around them. And at Ritz-Carlton, every person has a budget that they can use to make you happy. So you could be there, the bellman, right? You could ask them something. They have a budget that they can spend up to go get something for you to make you happy. But what impressed me the most that day about Ritz-Carlton was when they talked about how they actually hire people. And what the trainer told us, he said at Ritz-Carlton, we don't hire, we select. Somebody caught that. Mm-hmm. And just in that, right, it said it itself. He was like, this is not a hiring process, this is a selection process. And we have to select them, but guess what? They also what? Have to select us.
Yeah.
And he talked about the multiple steps, and he said, hey, what they don't know is even when they get picked up from the airport, the person driving them from the airport to the actual hotel is one of us. They're interviewing them. Because he said a lot of times they'll talk all kind of junk on that shuttle, and then walk in the door, straighten up, put that top button on, and then they're the perfect employee. Anything you want to add to that, babe?
Okay, so 2 things. The first thing is we were interviewing for a position within our company recently, and Lamar said, hey, if we were to extend you an offer, would you join or whatever? And the person was like, well, I got to pray on it. And I was just like, no, she's not coming here, okay? Because I want you to be so happy to come here to work for us, right? So Lamar was like, don't think of it that way. I was like, no. You got to get past Ronnie, and she's not getting past me. The second thing is, one of the reasons why people don't fire enough is really because of you, right? So this is what happens. You hire someone, and you don't put any check-ins in with them, no controls, no meetings. You're not following up. There are no standards. And you just walk away too soon. You're not watching them. You're not watching what they do. There's no accountability. And then like a year in, I'm hearing people like, can you believe it? This person wasn't sending invoices. This person wasn't doing this. I've lost 25 of my clients. And I'm like, how did it get that far down the line, right? Because you're not doing any checkpoints, you're not doing any check-ins, you're not doing any performance reviews, things that you could have caught earlier, then you could have fired faster, but you're not doing that. You're waiting until your clients are leaving or your products are not coming off the shelf to find out that you should have fired that person months ago. So if you want to fire faster, another thing is to have some accountability, some checkpoints, some check-ins with the employees that you hire as well.
All right,
Yeah.
There we go. All right, I'll start this one. I don't know if we're going to get to finish this one unless they come back out.
Any
and be
more
like,
time?
10 more. All right, mistake number 5 is not hiring leaders. Everybody say leaders. All right, we realized over the years there was a major mistake we were making. Through the hiring process, we were hiring people, we weren't hiring actual leaders. And through the process, I learned about something I call like the 4 phases of hiring. The 4 phases of hiring. And how many of y'all got teams again? Let me see by show of hands. All right, as I'm going through, let me know if this is familiar. When you first say I'm gonna hire somebody, there's a feeling of excitement. You know what I'm saying? You hype. You like, hey, it's about to happen. We're about to get it. Things about to be different around here. What am I gonna do with all of my free time? Then really quickly, you go from excitement to stress. Anybody ever felt like this before? And you like, what in the hell is going on around here? They told me to get help. Is this what help's supposed to be like? You're ready to just burn it all down. Anybody ever been ready to just burn it all down?
Yeah.
Then you move from stress to the next phase. Y'all know what the next phase is? The next phase is when you can get so pent up and balled up, right? If you don't have the right people around you supporting you in the vision, that even when they call you, you move into a phase of frustration. You like, it's them again. Anybody ever felt like this? They like calling you, you like, ah. This you, Jen, you felt like that? She's like, ah. And then the final phase, right? You go from the excitement of what's to come, all the things that can happen, to the stress of, hey, you know what? Like things ain't lined the way they would, to the frustration that eventually you land in overwhelm.
Yeah.
Anybody ever felt like when it comes to your teams, the Lord is testing you? You in there like, he wouldn't give me more than I could bear. But it's all a process, right? So the answer is like, hey, guess what? You need more leaders. One of the things, can I write, you mind if I write on the board?
Sure.
That's like a little pretend question. You know what I'm saying? You mind if I write on the board? One of the things that I learned, right, is that, you know, we would come into the company, and let's say that's you, right, the CEO. And a lot of times, right, we already talked about 9 out of 10 black businesses are solopreneurs. So we run in that business, then we say, hey, you know what? I want to get a team, and I want to get these people that replace me in doing the thing that I do, right? So maybe I was doing customer service, I'm gonna get a customer service person. Maybe I was doing shipping and fulfillment, I'm gonna get somebody to do shipping and fulfillment, right? Most times we try to offboard first the things that we don't like doing. Y'all seen that before, right? But then as you offboard those things, what you realize, right, these people that you put into place are coming back to you asking you questions about those things. And when you answer the questions, do they stop coming to ask you more about those things? A lot of people said no. A few yes, a lot of people said no, right? So then a lot of people, what they do is in this area, they get frustrated because they say, hey, you know what? I hired all these people to do the stuff, but if they keep pulling on me, and I got to be involved in them doing the stuff, and I'm looking at how much I'm paying them, and I'm looking at the fact that I'm barely, if even paying myself, then I might as well do it myself. But one of the things we realized eventually, right, down the path was that the problem was the way we had things set up. As we had technicians that were great at what they did, what we needed was some level between us and them that could actually spend the time to nurture that talent. That level was where the leaders came in. Now, as we talk about it and look at it, right? Now we had people, because it's one thing, hey, you say they come to me, they doing this, they doing that, but a lot of times they need to be nurtured, right?
Right.
A lot of times they need to be educated, a lot of times they need to be onboarded. It's a lot of things that a lot of you don't have the actual time to actually do. So you're creating a self-fulfilling prophecy where the thing keep going around and around and around and around again. And when we got leaders, what we also realized is that, hey, we had people that could answer those questions on our behalf. Hey, when we got leaders, we had people that thought through the process like us. When we had leaders, we had people that was invested in the success of the company, right? Like we were invested in it all the ways. And then as we started getting great technicians, right, people that were experts in what they do, we started trying to figure out how can we actually grow them into leaders as well. Make sense?
Right.
And move through the process. Ron, anything you want to add to this one?
No, I mean, so it's really important to get the leaders in because the leaders are the ones that really are going to be able to take the load off of your shoulders, right? I think a lot of times when we are hiring all these people across the country, you think, oh, I mean, not a country, well, maybe if you're have different locations, but if you're hiring all of these people, that it's going to free up your time. But now your time is spent meeting with all of the different people and answering all the questions. And also now you may even become a bottleneck for some of the things that trying to happen within your company because you can't get to their questions. So they're sitting here waiting on you, right, to answer the questions and things. And it starts to get so frustrating. And so that's why you definitely need to hire leaders. The second thing is leaders cost money. And so you want to make sure that you get what you pay for, right? And so making sure that you're able to invest as much as you can afford, but invest in the leaders, because the first time that we hired leaders within our company, people that truly could come and own the department and really manage the people under them, it was just such a relief, and it really freed us up to really focus on other areas of the business. And so that's what you want, and I think sometimes people elevate people to leadership, and they're just really not being leaders. And so you have to be honest with yourself and also pay your leaders very well so that they can represent you well within your business.
And one of the other mistakes we made is bringing people in assuming they were leaders because they said they were leaders, but not actually having a plan in place to actually develop those people. Mistake number 6 is not borrowing traffic. Now, we talked about buying traffic, paid advertising. We talked about organic last night, right, too, right? Because Candace talked about some pieces of organic and what she did. She got on y'all for having all that content on your phone that you don't post. Just keeping it. What y'all be doing with that? When I was on the tour, sidetrack 1 second. When I was on the tour, by the end of the tour, I had a bone to pick. Y'all know what it was? I said, hey, every one of these cities, 50 people in the room, I take about 30 pictures. Only about two or three of them pictures actually make it to Instagram or Facebook. So I'm like, what y'all doing with all these pictures of me and you? It feels weird, Sherdon, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a little creepy. What y'all doing with these pictures? I mean, I got some friends, former clients, and people are like, we just don't know each other. You take that picture, put that picture online. That's what it's for. All right, but number 6 is not borrowing traffic. When we talk about that, we always say, hey, you know what? I think borrowing traffic is the most underused aspect of how you get more leads generation, how you get more people in front of what you do. And I think this is the one that nobody really does and focus on for the most part. Mm-hmm. What does that look like, right? Always use my guy Bradley. Is Bradley in here? Always use my guy Bradley. Now, Bradley, who I just met in person for the first time when we did the Dallas pop-up tour, is a video graphics guru, as you can see. And Bradley is part of the TSP. Anybody seen Bradley in the TSP group before posting, sharing stuff over the years? Right? Part of our community in the group, so he would post stuff. He part of Propel as well. And during the pandemic, remember everybody started live streaming. Everybody going live, doing stuff. And there was software you could use called Ecamm if you had a Mac. And for the software Ecamm, they had a Facebook group. And in the Facebook group, people would share what they could do, what they can't do, tech issues, all of that. When Bradley came in the group, Bradley, with a video background, started showing people what he was doing. Hey, I got this lower third. A lower third, y'all, is like when you watch the news or something, they got somebody's name at the bottom with a graphic, that's lower third. He would say, hey, you know what? Before I start my video, I got this countdown, right? There's flashing, and there's numbers, and there's music, and it's telling you what time. And everybody say, how you do it? And he would just tell us how to do it. That's called giving what? Value. And every week, Bradley was coming in here dropping so much value that when people started having questions about Ecamm, they wasn't even asking Ecamm, they was asking who? Bradley. Now, Ecamm saw that, right? So they said, hey, let's feature him. And they did Why Bradley Uses Ecamm. That's a testimonial, right? Him talking about their brand. But then they saw him keep adding what? Value. So they came back and said, let's do a spotlight series on him. He also is a grief counselor. He has a book around grief, Good Grief, Why Believers Can Grieve with Hope. So they said a feature on that and talked about that. Then I'm starting to see more and more Bradley in the group. I see that they actually put him on their YouTube page talking about him creating graphics. So now how much is Bradley paying them to put him in front of their audience on YouTube? Nothing, because he's giving what? Value. So on their page, they do Ecamm Video Graphics Workshop where Bradley teaches. And in the description of that video, It's some text, and at the bottom, those little bullet point pinpoints you see. Subscribe to videos for review, cool. Then next say, subscribe to Bradley Teaches YouTube. That's them pushing people to his channel. Then it says, visit Bradley Teaches at his website. Them pushing people to his actual page and business. Then it says, purchase Bradley Teaches graphics. Them directly pushing people to buy his actual product. Y'all getting this? Again, what is Bradley paying for this? Nothing. But he's giving what? Value. So then I'm looking for something on the eCam site. I go into the help section, and I see the instructions, but I see a familiar avatar face. And I look, and I'm like, yo, this is wild, because what you don't probably notice is above like the avatar of his face is a little text, but that text got the avatar of his face too, which means that video is from his YouTube page. So now they're embedding his YouTube videos in their site for support. That means when people look at support, he getting video views, which he can monetize as well. In addition to that, does that make him look like an expert more? Is that making him more money? So he's paying nothing to get in front of all of their customers. Now I'm gonna say customers, because Ronnie, we know what? Customers are more important than who? Followers. These are people that are already paying this company money. So Bradley came back into the Facebook group last year, said, hey, you know what? I saw you use the hashtag, we want to borrow like Bradley. He said, hey, it's coming to fruition. I'm the first Canvasser to get the opportunity to present live to Canva's community over 300,000. And you know I'm going to use some of my own graphic templates and have them available on my new e-store. So now the same thing he did with eCam, he's doing with Canva. How would you like to get in front of somebody's 300,000 customers? At no cost. You got to deliver what? Value. Now I already know a lot of y'all say, well, you know what? Like somebody's asked me a month ago, Ronnie, you know, I want to work with this big company, but I don't have nothing to offer them. You do value. Value manifests itself in different ways. It could be a company like that needs content. A company like that needs support. A company like that needs a host of other things, right? Like they already got the customers. What they need help with is actually supporting the customers that they have. That's what he's able to do. Now, we were in Dallas before we left, Ronnie. Bradley came up to me at the very end. Ronnie wasn't there, so this is the first time sharing the story. He came up to me at the very end. Why are you looking like that?
Because what's the story?
She don't like me telling new stories on stage.
No.
She gets scared that I'm gonna do. She don't like on-the-fly stuff.
Remember our safe word.
I forgot it already. I'm like, what's the safe word? I'm like, Sharia. Tell me the story, girl. All right. So Bradley came up to me at the end of the event. He said, Lamar, what I didn't tell you, y'all said Bradley not here, right? All right, I can tell you his business. He said, what I didn't tell you, Lamar, is that eCam and Canva had me on retainer every month to hold my time just in case they needed me.
Oh, wow.
Do y'all get that? Did y'all understand what that means? Tanisha, you got that, right? How many of y'all want somebody to hold your time just in case they need you?
I do.
Because when they need you, they need you. And they can't mess around with you not being available. So he said, what y'all didn't know is they paid me every month on Deborah Owens like that one. I know your wheel's going already. Just in case they need me. That's borrowing traffic. But I know somebody saying, well, Lamar, you know, my brand is different because everybody think their business is different. I already told you we talked about a mastermind. It's not. The fundamentals of business are the same. So I got this email, a Chase client. I got this email from Chase saying, hey, get ready for the performance of your life. As a Chase private client, we invite you to register for a test drive experience to the wonder of a Maserati. What is Maserati doing? Borrowing traffic from Chase. So Maserati can do it, why can't you? And when you get there, all they got is a simple opt-in form, right? They say, hey, Maserati welcomes Chase private clients. Here's your personal information, name, email, zip code. That ain't nothing but a basic opt-in form. Now, here's the thing. That opt-in form they got right there looks 100 times worse probably than the opt-in forms y'all already have or the ones you would make. But guess what? They making millions more than you on this promotion because they actually launched theirs. So you can play in Canva, you can play in whatever you're playing in for the next 3 months trying to get it right, or you can launch something ugly that's gonna make millions. All right. Now, let me give you a disclaimer, right? I got a prompt I'm gonna share with you. Get your cameras out, get your phones out, take this. For all the prompt engineers, I ain't one of y'all. You can do it better, I already know. I don't care. Tomorrow we got 2 certified, legit AI people coming to the stage. But I always like to give y'all my AI for dummies to show you that if I can do it, anybody can do it. So, it's a prompt I created, right? You do not have to raise your hand. You ain't gotta come to the mic later and be like, this is how you make it better. I know you can make it better. Put it in the Hover app, whatever. Tell me about it later. But, right, take a picture, right? So it's one prompt I use, but it's just in 2 pieces, so I can make it big on the slide. So basically, I'm a small business owner looking to borrow traffic from sources that align with my customer avatar. My customer avatar is described as follows: demographic data. It's only 2 parts you got to put your stuff in. The demographic piece, well, let's say I was a social media marketing digital strategy coach, right? And I can say, hey, you know, my demographic is African-American women 35 to 55 that are coaches, consultants, and book authors. They live in cities like Chicago, Dallas. Like, I'm all the, you know, demographics, who they are, where they at, where they live, how much money they make, what kind of jobs they got, all that profile. Then you need the psychographic data. Psychographic data is, you know, how do they feel? What do they believe in, right? When they come to you, what is their emotional state? Are they frustrated? Are they happy? Are they sad, right? These type of things. So I got my demographic data, psychographic data. All you gotta do is plug those in. And then the second part, take a picture of this. Again, it's all one prompt. I just broken into 2 slides. So it's easier for y'all. Please provide a detailed list of specific people, organizations, companies, and events whose audiences match my customer avatar. For each entry, include the name, website, and any available contact information such as email, phone number, or social media handles. I'm particularly interested in influencers, nonprofits, community groups, events that attract a similar audience. If you get to tweak it, tweak it. Thank you.
I like that prompt.
So here's what happened, right? So when I put it in, and this is like real time of it, right? And this was a while back while I was on the tour, so it's probably better. First, it gave me like a list of influencers. Like, here go people you can borrow traffic from, right? Then it gave me a list of nonprofits that asked for this. These are nonprofits you can borrow traffic from. And also notice I asked it to give me the contact information too. So it's putting up phone numbers, email addresses, websites, whatever you can get for it. Social media handles and stuff, right? So it's coming back, here go conferences, here go companies. And now any of these, I could get more of them. I could tell to do more, make more. Like I said, we have 2 AI sessions tomorrow where they're gonna give you all the nuggets, all the details on how to make it happen. But now you see, when we would bring people in for the 2-day quick start, we would sit there and talk about borrowing traffic, and it would take a long time. So now what I did is, when they came back, I told her, hey, here go the list, thank you. Write the email that I can send to these people for partnerships, and then write the email for me. Then when it's done with the email, I'm gonna say, you know, appreciate you. And I'm gonna come back again, and I'm gonna tell it, make the phone script for me to call these people with. So, and it's a real-time video, right? So basically, in, let's say 60 seconds, Ronnie, I got my list of contacts to go after. I got the email to actually send to them. I got the phone script to actually use when I call them. You ain't got no excuses not to just do the stuff. It's levers all around us that we all can pull. It's easy money out here, right? It's money trapped in your business. The money want to be let out. All right. Ronnie, let's talk about this. Number 7, right? Mistake number 7 is we did not protect ourselves.
Right. So this is from like a legal perspective, insurance perspective. You know, we're running this business and we need to protect it. And so as it pertains to even employees and contractors, we got with real lawyers and got our contracts looked at and written out versus like downloading them also or borrowing them from someone that you know, because that person may have just gotten it off the internet as well. And so you're taking the time to build something and investing all of your family's money into it, and you don't want it protected by a contract that you just downloaded off the internet. And so, and a lot of times and we've done that several times. Each time we've gone back to the lawyer, it's because we found out that there was some way in the contract that maybe an employee or a contractor was breaking it, and we found out the contract was not strong enough. And so we definitely want to make sure that you are protecting your assets and protecting what you're building, and so we want to make sure that you are taking that seriously, whether it's the contracts with your clients or the contracts with
employees or vendors, you want to make sure that they are right. You want to make sure that you're reading the contracts. You know, I'm going into a contract now with a vendor, and I send it to my lawyer. We went back and forth over several weeks, and now I'm just ready to sign. I'm always looking for cancellation clauses. I'm always looking for, you know, how they're going to deliver and things like that. So make sure you take protecting yourself and your business very seriously.
Yep. And we must be a lawyer over there. I already knew it. Can't get one by on me. I've been doing this for 9 years. People clap on certain things, know what it is. And how we got caught with this one, right? Like, I didn't detail, but of course, for too long in the business, we didn't borrow traffic. Since we didn't borrow traffic, right, we didn't have as many people in front of the business that we should have. So we weren't pulling all the levers. A lot of y'all say, I just need more people. This is one of the easy levers to pull to get more people. So we got more people, we start making more money. With this one, what happened is we got scam, like the lady said up on the screen, right? Because in one chance, we had contracts, but we just didn't have an updated contract. But here's the thing. People can steal what they see you do. They can steal the words they see you say. They can even steal the employees that the customers that you got right now. But they can't steal what you know. They can't steal the swag with how you deliver it. And the one thing they can't steal is integrity. And after a certain amount of time, right, I was telling people like, hey, you know, you can mess with that person if you want, but if you go into a person and the whole way they get clients is by stealing clients, what they gonna teach you?
Yeah.
So you gotta watch it, right? So again, right, and one thing just could have been alleviated. All we had to do was just get the contract updated. So we had contracts, we had lawyers, we had teams, but it was just pieces that you got to make sure you got those pieces updated along the way.
Right.
So when that happened, guess what? We updated everything, right? But it's those gaps, but now trying to protect those gaps. You're sharing that so you make sure that don't happen to you. Go back and not just say, what new stuff do I need, but hey, when the last time we reviewed what we already have. Make sense? Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. We got scam. We still here. All right. Decision number 8, not making decisions fast enough, right? Is Dr. Joffrey in the room? Joffrey Mount Varner? You in the room? Come on up to the mic, man. This is my man, Dr. Joffrey Mount Varner, mastermind alum. Y'all give him some love. Now, Dr. G was talking trash to me last night in the lobby. What he didn't know is he was in my presentation, right? I was like, he's saying one more thing to me. I'm going to delete that slide. Right there to the mic, right there. You walk past it. I was like, say one more thing to me, right? I'm about to delete this slide so bad you would have never known. So Dr. Joffrey, that's my man, right? He a good dude, ain't he, Ronnie?
Yes.
Dr. G will take care of us, right? So Dr. Joffrey, we had him speak on the stage here, TSP Live, a game plan, a couple times, I think. He wrote a book, right? What's the book called?
Training your mind for split-second decisions.
Split-second decisions. So in that book, right, and on the talk, he was telling us about decision fatigue. Can you talk about decision fatigue a little bit?
Basically, it's as you go throughout the day, your mind gets tired. So in other words, you've got to do the most important task early in the day. You don't spend time thinking about what to wear, what to put on. You save that energy for later in the day.
And that's why we see people like Steve Jobs and Zuckerberg, see, like, they wear the same. You're like, yo, as rich as they are, why they wearing the same thing every day? Right?
Say again?
That's why we see Zuckerberg and people like that wearing the same thing.
They wear the same thing every day because they don't want to spend any time thinking about that.
One less decision.
Yep.
One less decision.
Right? So my favorite thing that Dr. Joffrey taught us, what you used to say about making no decision?
Oh, wow.
Come on, tell the people. Don't y'all want to know what this is?
So no decision is a decision. Not only that, a delayed decision is no decision at times as well.
Hold up. Doctor, can you drop that for me one more time? Because that was good, wasn't it, Crystal?
Because that's in the next book. So
got to get that plug in there.
yeah. A delayed decision at times is no decision at all. Here's why. Because if you wait too long, the factors have changed, the environment has changed, the people have changed. And so you missed your opportunity.
Thank you. Y'all give it up for Dr. Joffrey. That was good. That was good. So as I was creating this content for y'all, right, I was like, that's one of the big things we learn is that we got to be more decisive in our decisions. And I love it, right? Because what I was thinking about, ever since he told us that years ago, I feel like it's probably like 2018 or so, maybe 2019, when he talked to us and shared that with us at a mastermind event, then on the stage here at one of the conferences. That no decision is a decision piece has stuck with me, right, Terry? Like, because you think like, hey, I'll just, I don't want to worry about that right now. But you basically making a decision whether you know it or not. And I hadn't even thought about now that delayed decision, right, being no decision is good too. And when I was making this content, when I thought about Ronnie, in my own words, I was like, indecision is equivalent to death. And when I was thinking about it and creating the deck, right, I was like, when you lack the ability to make decisions in your business, and quick decisions, decisive decisions, then that's death to your business, it's death to your time, and it's death to your dreams. Because most of us ain't in business to be in business. We in business to get to something that we dreamed about the business would actually create for us.
Right.
You have something, babe?
No, you're right. There's nothing else to add.
We got that on camera, right?
decision.
It was recorded.
Lamar.
All right, mistake number 9, not being around the right people. You just gonna talk about that one.
Right. So we definitely want to make sure, and we've talked about this all throughout the event. All of the speakers are kind of lining up, but not being around the right people, right? You want to be around people that can push you to the next level, that can open up your mindset. And this is the biggest, I think, to me, challenge for entrepreneurs, is making sure that you're in the room with the right people. If you're around a lot of entrepreneurs, like even right now, when times are tough and there are things that are going on in the economy, you could be around a lot of people that are scared, that are retracting, that are pulling back, or you can go into rooms where there are people that are talking about how do we pivot? Like, what's our next move? The thought of quitting is not in those conversations. It's the thought of how are we going to get through this together, right? And so that is the benefit of being around the right crowds and being around the right people.
I love it. I always talk about when Dr. Jarvis was walking away, I was thinking about what happened when we did as a mastermind during COVID. Because one of the things Dr. Jarvis did for us too, I don't know if y'all remember, but he was going live in the group daily to give us updates on COVID as a ER, medical, like, hey, I'm on the front lines, this is what I'm seeing every day in the actual free public group. When people was reaching out, had questions, answered the questions, and when COVID hit, like the day-to-day, or like the day the world stopped, I remember we were in a mastermind meeting, it was March, in Atlanta, we in the ballroom, and I think it was lunch or something, I walked out into the lobby of the hotel, and it was TVs up, and I saw 2 things scroll across the bottom of the screen. One was that Disney parks had suspended, and they weren't letting anybody else in the parks. And the other thing is that the NBA has suspended. And when I saw that kind of money move, stop, I said, yo, this is serious. Because I really was like halfway paying attention. Everybody was halfway paying attention to me and they're like, oh, that's over there. When those 2 things happened, I was like, oh, for that kind of money to stop, it's some real stuff. So we got together as a group, right? So what we did is we pivoted. I don't know if there's anybody here, any OGs here at that event. Remember, the rest of that event, we came and pivoted and talked about what were the opportunities. Not how to fold up. What were the opportunities? Hey, this thing coming, we ain't gonna ball up, we're gonna take it head on as a group in the community. What's the opportunities that we got to do something about it? And I remember we went and we just masterminded as a group, right? The whole concept of mastermind is multiple brains are better than your one. And you got everybody focused on it. So I remember with Brandy even, we talked about child cares. All right, this is how child cares can benefit from it. These are the pros and cons. This is how you might be able to leverage and do stuff. Somebody else is like, hey, I do this thing. This is how you can do it. Hey, I'm a beauty brand. This is how, we can do it. And as a group, we tried to figure some things out. That's that benefit you got of being around the right people, right? And being able to pull it together.
Yeah. We were also wilding out that day because we were not taking it seriously. We were playing musical chairs, coughing on each other, pushing each other.
We were playing musical chairs?
I was. And then we were like toasting.
Like I wasn't. I was on the side. You was over there pushing people down.
We went to the bar that night. We were toasting and cheering and everything. I'm like, we should have been wearing masks. We were not. Like, it just wasn't clicking. It wasn't clicking for us. But we made it through. We made it through. We're still here.
Despite your musical chairs piece, right?
I remember that.
So
I got home and I was like, oh my God, what were we doing? But anyway.
So that not being around the right people thing is vital.